Our weekly Wednesday meetups on Clubhouse have been amazing. We've been talking about smart cities. In this video, I'm going to give you a recap of our last discussion. We covered 3 primary topics this past week. Inhibition to city development. Does tech truly help or hurt us? And how do companies and cities manage upskilling and reskilling due to tech adoption? So on the topic of inhibition to city development, we discussed that the old ways of thinking, particularly with decision makers, they're holding us back and blocking innovation in city development. Some specific blockers we discussed are perceived value for equipment or services is not understood by owners and operators. Experts or people with 30 to 40 years in decision-making roles are sometimes unaware of emerging tech and trends. Also, they're making key decisions based on what they're familiar with. You will tend to see decisions to invest low amounts up front and more long-term energy or operating costs fall out of that investment. So seemingly, they're not changing the bottom line. Also, another blocker is fear of operating in the unknown. It's really a big concern with rolling out innovation. Some blockers we discussed are perceived value of investment in innovation by owners and operators. Experts, people with 30 to 40 years in decision-making roles, are sometimes unaware of emerging trends about technology. And they're also making key decisions based upon what they're familiar with. So you'll tend to see decisions to invest low amounts up front and have more long-term energy or operational cost, seemingly not changing the bottom line. And there's fear of operating in the unknown and a big concern about rolling out innovation. So we also discussed fundamental challenges, not necessarily blockers, but things that make it hard to implement city development. The future of technology is a complex and ambiguous thing. Given the aftermath of what took place in Texas, we had someone on the call that was dealing with those specific challenges, and we know that they face health, safety, and security concerns. We talked about how in the United States that we are mismanaging our resources, focused on economic gains and neglecting the need for national resilience. The topic is raised that pursuing technological advances can be good, but someone mentioned that in a study, and giving tablets to people made them actually less productive because they were tech dependent. As a result of this comment, we all discussed that we should make sure that any new technology introduced is as intuitive as possible so that it doesn't cause any unexpected difficulties or hamper productivity levels. So that last comment flowed into this next topic. Does technology really help or hurt us? We discussed particularly some fundamental challenges with this. The world is changing rapidly with technology and automation. Jobs that were once the domain of humans are now being done by machines. And someone mentioned that they're worrying about what this means for the future. It appears as though we may need to rethink our priorities when it comes to brain training, because recent studies have shown that there's a significant correlation between more exercise of our brains and overall health. That topic flowed into jobs, upskilling and reskilling due to technology adoption. Some blockers we discussed were previously incarcerated people are finding it difficult to find meaningful work, and as employers have an aversion to hiring them, the stigma is being formally imprisoned is that it's a problem for those who think they may be unreliable or untrustworthy due to the nature of their crime and time in prison. Fortunately, there's a growing movement on behalf of those who are currently in jail, aiming to provide opportunities for those with criminal records upon release so they can become contributing members of society again. Fundamental challenges we discussed were When you hire new employees, especially now that we are all remote or some form of hybrid, there's little human interaction when onboarding them. We discussed that some things require a human touch, like face-to-face meetings. Remember those? To develop relationships with new hires, no matter the walk of life, to be engaged with them in a long-term commitment. So some things to consider for corporations and governments when it comes to preparedness for employees. Job applicants should be allowed to apply to entry-level positions and be given the opportunity to grow within the company rather than be turned away before they even get a chance. Entry-level jobs are not always fulfilling for people with 1 or 2 years of experience. Job qualifications ask for too much experience that's unrealistic of someone at their stage of their career. And last but not least, organizations should provide more support and education for new employees on how to succeed in their position from day one. We also discussed that corporations are struggling to keep up with the ever-changing marketplace. This is because they're not investing in their employees, who are left feeling overworked and underappreciated. They also lack creativity, so they only know how to hire people from within. If corporations don't support their employees through on-site training and cross-training, then those employees will be less likely to stay or employed for long periods of time, meaning that it's going to become much harder for them to recruit top talent or produce as many products and services as they could have otherwise. The skills gap is getting bigger, and it won't be long before all of us feel this difference in our own lives. On this topic of jobs and skills, we not only saw blockers and challenges, but also recognized some strong opportunities. Someone said on our Clubhouse chat, you are paid directly in proportion to the problem you solve. Identifying the right problem and solving it is the right thing to do. Someone also keyed into the valuable point that measuring success through KPIs or any other measuring tool is crucial for any person who wants to know how well they are meeting their goals. And the same goes for cities. Such insightful conversations. Do you want to join us? We are meeting weekly, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, to discuss smart cities and to dig deep on these topics and more. Follow the link to Clubhouse below.